Have you ever worked really hard on something? You've read all the books, you've listened to the podcasts, perhaps you've changed up a routine or, changed a habit, improved your time management, and still feel like nothing has really changed at all. There's been no real shift. You feel like you're doing more, you're trying harder, you're being more disciplined, but the pressure that you feel, that internal pressure, there's that pattern underneath that's driving this is exactly the same. Well, if you can relate to that, then there is a question that I want you to consider. And that is, what if it has nothing to do with trying harder? What if you're just focusing on the wrong thing? By the end of this video, you'll be able to identify whether you're actually solving the real problem or the real issue, or if you're just managing surface symptoms. And I'm going to give you a simple way to test your own thinking patterns. So, what's actually going on in your mind, so that you can spot what's really driving the pressure, the overthinking, or the exhaustion. So, here's what I see is most high performing people that I work with. So we're talking professional people, high performers, high achievers, people with high standards, whatever you like to call it. They don't lack capability. They're very, very capable people. But what they are often lacking is clarity. Now, we hear that word a lot at the moment. It has become quite a big buzzword, but it is true. We're lacking clarity. So these people I work with, they're trying to fix productivity, increase productivity or fix sleep, confidence, decision making. Work-life balance is a favorite one. But what's happening here is that they're focusing on the symptoms. So the sleep isn't good, it's a symptom. They can't make decisions, that's a symptom, right? So it's kind of like, if you think of it this way, adjusting the temperature in a room where the walls are on fire. Okay, so like you're fiddling with the thermostat to try and adjust it because it's getting really hot in here. But if something's burning in the walls, then you're actually solving the wrong problem. Changing that thermostat isn't going to solve the actual problem. And this is where intelligent, driven people get stuck, right? Because the more capable a person you are, the better you become at managing symptoms. And this is so many of these people, you're the one that people come to solve the problems, to get stuff done. And so you become very, very good at managing symptoms, and you can function highly while inside you are overthinking everything. So, what is this really about? Well, let me break this down for you. When you're feeling mentally exhausted, that feeling of being constantly on, switched on, you feel like you're one decision away from being completely overwhelmed or having a meltdown, the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. Or perhaps it's that you're unable to switch off at night so that you get a good night's sleep. Well, what's happening here, it's rarely about just workload alone. And I think that's really common for us to think, well, I've just got so much going on at work. Once this project is finished, once I meet this deadline, once I put that report in, I've just got a lot on, right? But it's rarely just about that. What's happening is that your brain is interpreting your environment. So the things, the people around you. And if your nervous system is reading everything as urgent, as life or death, if your identity is wired to equate value with performance, I must perform to be of value. Or perhaps if your thinking pattern is, if I don't stay ahead of things, I'm going to fall apart. If I don't keep all of these balls in the air, if I drop one, then nothing's going to work. I'm going to fall in a heap. I hear that. So what if all of those things are happening, if you're having all of these thoughts, then you can buy as many diaries as you want. You can color code your calendar as much as you want. You can put in all the routines and productivity systems for as long as you want, but nothing is fundamentally going to shift. because the root pattern is still there. It is still running underneath. All you've done is change things on a surface level. And as I said before, high performing people, high achievers, very good at coping or managing. But coping isn't the same as having clarity. And coping, to my mind, is not actually a way to live. It's not a very comfortable way to live, or a very fulfilling way to live is perhaps a better word for it. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. This is where the shift comes in. Instead of asking, how do I manage this better? Change this to, what am I assuming that might not be true? So another way to hear that might be, what is the story that I'm telling myself about this situation right now? What belief is driving this behavior? What identity am I protecting? And when we talk about identity, we're talking about who I am as a person. And, we want to dig a little deeper here, because the person we think we are might not actually be the person that we are. What threat does my brain think it's responding to? Because if you remember from previous videos, this is what our brain does. Its ultimate job is to protect us. It has this survival mechanism. It's a primal reaction that it has. So what threat does it think it's responding to? Sometimes the issue isn't time management, that, if I just had a couple more hours in the day, I'd be able to get through this. Well, often that's not the case. It's not the actual challenge. It's the fear of disappointing people. Sometimes it isn't decision paralysis that we're in. It's the fear of making the wrong move and losing status. Sometimes, as I said, it isn't workload. It's that internal story or that rule that we've made for ourselves somewhere along the line that says that you must always be the capable one. If you're not the capable one, then what happens? And when you look at this with a different lens, when you change the lens that you're looking at this, you stop firefighting, right? You stop putting out spot fires here and there, and you start understanding what is actually going on underneath, right? And once you understand this, you can recalibrate it. As we always say, awareness is number one, and it's very important, but it's not the end of the story. We first have to be aware, but then we actually need to do something about it. So here's a simple exercise that you can do. So think about one thing that's currently draining you. It could be work, home, anything. Now ask, what do I think the problem is? Number two, if that disappeared tomorrow, what would it give me? And number three, what deeper need is underneath that? So often what people really want is they want to feel safe. They want certainty or control. They want validation or permission. And all of those things, they're not solved with diaries and calendars and spreadsheets and more time, right? They're solved with better thinking in a different way. So to summarize all of this, we're not talking about lowering your standards. You've heard me say that in another video. Keep your high standards. You don't need to become less ambitious. You don't need to work less hard. You don't need more rest time necessarily. You just need to make sure that you're solving the right problem. You're looking for the root cause rather than managing symptoms, because if you focus on the wrong thing long enough, then you can become extremely efficient at staying stuck. Right, so if any of this resonates with you and you're starting to suspect that you might be managing symptoms instead of addressing the cause, then I'm running a live masterclass where I break this down properly. So it's for capable women and men who know something needs to change, but they're stuck in thinking about the how and the when. So we'll look at what's really driving that overthinking brain and how to shift it. You can register by going straight to my website, moonbeammonday.com.au, and clicking up the top in the banner, or I've put the link in the description. So thank you for watching today. My name is Rebekah King, and remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. I'll see you next time.